Hello everybody and welcome to Tally Ho. This game I found just searching the free-to-play market because I'm really bored. Boring and cheap. And I don't have my dad's credit card on me. So, this is the demo version of a game called Tally Ho, where the game pretty much what you get to do is tells you some stuff, you get to make some choices, and there's no animations. Great. I I'd prefer some animations, but I'm just not that great of a guy. So, let's start this right now. Standing at the front window of your employer's flat, you take a moment, respite from your cleaning tasks, to enjoy the sights and sounds of a late October afternoon in the better part of London. A cool breeze wafts through the window almost playfully, as if to say as all is well with the world, but the moment does not last, as a groan issues from the master's bedroom, followed by a muffled crash and then a sort of whimper. Your employer, Rory Wintermint, was quite late last night, and was helped back to the flat by some friends. In what might have be termed an impaired state. After an evening's carousing, you have taken advantage of the morning's quiet to do some tedious. I can't read, guys. I can't read. So just bear with me right now, because apparently my English is terrible. It's just terrible. Tidying. All of the ironing and the dishes are... Now it's late afternoon, and your employer appears to have finally awakened. Another groan and some incoherent gurgles emerges as you stride the kitchen to prepare Rory's tray. What is on the tray you have prepared? A hearty platter of seed rye toast with butter, the 3-link sausages, 4 scrambled eggs with a dash of hot pepper, and 2 large mugs of extraordinarily strong black coffee. A common cup of chamomile tea and antacid tablet. A cocktail cunningly designed to ease Rory's hangover. An attractive iris, a bud, a vase, and a cup of fragrant oolong tea. I would bring him this, because toast, what I've known about hangovers, it's that toast helps a lot, and coffee. So let's do that, and salt helps too. After none in the town, Roy will need a hearty breakfast and a great deal of coffee to get through the day. Nice. With some measure of coherence, you ensure that more water is boiling in case additional coffee needs to be brought to bear. You began working for Rory about 5 years ago when you answered an advertisement in the back of a fashionable monthly magazine asking for a man who could serve as a gentleman's gentleman, a woman who could serve as a lady's maid, a person who could serve as a lady's servant, a person who could serve as a gentleman's servant. Ooh. I'm gonna go with the first one. Rory Wintermint was a young man of leisure class, known among those in service as a person of whom something might be made if the right valet took him in hand firmly. The advertised position noted that the position would require some simple cooking and light housekeeping, in addition to maintaining Rory's sartorial elegance. As the position looked acceptable, and you were presently in search of gainful employment after leaving the Signet family's employ, you wrote a letter of interest and were gratified to receive a request for an interview. The interview, as you recall, was not a grueling one. Roy was sitting up at his piano, idly playing the first few notes of a popular tune, sipping a clear cocktail and glancing briefly at a letter you had written. "Good morning," Rory said. "Now, I'm not really what you would call an interviewing expert, but let's have a go and see what you're all about. You can't be worse than the last 3 blighters. If I seem out of sorts, it's because my well-meaning but meddling Aunt Primrose has gathered that I would be unable to quit smoking, which I have done successfully. Indeed, I have quit smoking every day for the past 2 weeks. Today makes 2 hours in a row that I've gone without. But she seems to feel that she's won the wager. Tell me, what is your opinion on interfering aunts?" That was his first question to you when you met 5 years ago. How did you respond? I sympathized with him regarding his Aunt Primrose, saying that she sounded difficult to please, but clearly loves him. I spoke out rather directly on how sensible such an aunt sounds, and that she ought to be obeyed. I told him in no uncertain terms that Aunt Primrose sounded like a menace to all right-thinking people. He said, "Indeed, sir." I'm gonna go with the first one because I feel like it complements him and his aunt, which is perfect because I don't know how he's gonna feel. Because I mean, it's 50-50 anyways. I'm gonna take like 50% right, 50% wrong. "It's not all clear to me," Roy said, leaning his head on the piano for a moment and having a sigh. "I suppose it may be possible that ogres or trolls have deep feelings for their kin, but I have seen little to no evidence of it. But you might be right. Her behavior may be motivated by some misguided sense of familial devotion." Roy looked around for a pen to make a note, and finding none, took a drink. "Now let me see, what do you say your name was? I suppose I should have asked that first. I imagine it says somewhere on your letter, but I seem to have misplaced it." "My given name is Oscar Reginald Alfred." Yes, Alfred. "My given name is Alfred," you said. "However, naturally, I am accustomed to being addressed by my surname, which is, oh, Poppins. Alfred Poppins. I am the father of Mary Poppins." There you go. I'm Alfred The father of Mary Poppins was Bruce Wayne's gentleman. Is this gonna be a Batman story? I hope it's a Batman story. This would actually be great if it is. Very good, Poppins," Rory said. "Now let me see. There are particular sorts of questions one asks in this situation. What would you say your best quality is?" "Everyone loves me. I have an inimitable way about me that is difficult to resist. I am well versed in the liberal arts. One might call something a polymath. It has been said of me that I have a keen and pretending mind, one that I would be pleased to use in your service. Very little eludes my notice, sir. You might say that I am rather detail-oriented. I speak my mind in nearly all circumstances." Let me say I'm detail-oriented, because he's gonna want something who brings him perfect breakfast. "Is that so, then? Perhaps you wouldn't mind a little test?" "Not at all. Where are my slippers? I've been looking for them all morning." "They're wedged beneath the cushions of your sofa, sir. I noticed them when I first stepped in." "Is that so?" Roy turned around, spotting them. "Why would they be there?" "I could not say." "I think you've demonstrated your skill impressive." Roy thought for a moment. "I have firecracker of a question. This is a real tough one, so prepare yourself. What is your worst quality? Be honest now." "I have an unfortunate habit of lying and stealing, given the opportunity, often without due thought of reflection. I get too focused on my work at times, to the exclusion of other things. I'm reluctant to challenge authority at times. A tendency to become overly emotional involved with my employer, and I just cannot hide my emotions when they arise. I'm reluctant to challenge authority at times." That's nice. He's gonna like that. Like, don't want to question you, never gonna question you, gonna hire me. "That's understandable," Roy said. "Quite honestly, I'm the same with my Aunt Primrose. One word from here and I tend to buckle, or fold, or spindle, or whatever metaphor you like. I have terrible trouble when things get heated. To be quite honest, your words are refreshing. They remind me that I am not alone in feeling so." Oh, that's sad. Rory briefly considered, and then stood. "Well, I feel like I've got a fairly good sense of your personality now. I seem to remember that you have a fascinating hobby. Tell me about it while I put my shoes on." "Indeed, sir, before entering service, I developed an interest that might have some slight bearing on its position, which I thought worthy of mention." "What was your fascinating hobby?" "I have some training in boxing. I have assisted my cousin in her art gallery. I was a jewel thief, which perhaps I won't say outright. As a child, I was part of a traveling circus." Oh my gosh, dude, I can make this like a Batman story. Like, Robin, I'm gonna be a combination of Mary Poppins, Batman, and Robin. It's gonna be so perfect. "As a child, I had some experience taming savage lions as a member of a traveling circus. You said you might have heard of me? I worked under the name of Alfred the Unfearing. The name does not immediately ring a bell, but it strikes me that lion-taming skills may come in handy with my dear Aunt Primrose. Rory mused. I may have mentioned her earlier. Rory paused for a moment with eyes closed, seemed to take a decision, then stood up. I say I'm going to pop round to the tobacconist for a moment. It's just downstairs. Make yourself comfortable. It won't be a moment. Roy was out for 10 minutes. What did you do in that 10 minutes that made him hire you at once? Cat his living room, making neat stacks of his papers, carefully organizing the sheets, music on the piano, and arranging his books by author and subject. I mixed him a refreshing pomegranate champagne cocktail, popular drink amongst the cognoscents. I followed him and convinced him to purchase cigarettes. I simply began unpacking my belongings in the servant's room and making myself at home. Ooh, that's tough. I think I'm gonna go with that one. No, he already has a drink. Ooh, that one. That one for sure. Make him feel like I have some meaning to help him. And like, that's gonna be great. You followed Mr. Wintermint and intercepted him just outside the tobacconist's. I say, Poppins, Rory said, it's wonderful to see you again and all that, but I think there may have been a crossing of the wires. You are remained till I returned, not to follow me through thick and thin. I understand, sir, and yet I could not help making a suggestion. Oh, you see, sir. How did you get Rory to resist temptation? Through an apt literary quotation, by lying to him and telling him that the package is under investigation for unsanitary conditions, by inspiring him with a competitive spirit to the wager with Aunt Primrose. Nice. I urge you to think of the spirit of competition. Competition? Yes, sir. Consider Aunt Primrose, even now, is likely rubbing her hands together gleefully, thinking of the moment that you give up the struggle. Think of her gleeful demeanor and her superior chortle. It is as though you conjure her spectre before me now, Rory said. My hair is standing on end. Do not give her that satisfaction. Fight to the bitter end that you may say to her, I have emerged victorious. I shall, cried Rory, raising a fist to heavens and nearly knocking off the flowered cap of a passing lady. Poppins, you are a wonder. You're hired. Thank you, sir. 5 years later. Laden tray in hand, you open the door to the suffering Rory's bedroom. Your tray, sir. Oh, thank heavens, Poppins, you are a celestial messenger bearing tidings of great joy unto me. You place the tray on the bed, and Rory attempts to have himself to a sitting position, but then flops back on the pillow, clutching his head. I am not well, Poppins, Rory intones. I will likely die before sundown. If I die, I leave you half my kingdom. Oh, snap. Very good, sir, but before that dreadful event, I wonder if you might care for a beverage. Rory catches wind of the feast you have arranged for him and seems to perk up. The coffee, is that freshly ground? Of course, sir. Oh, so he's still drunk, so he's not gonna die this evening. It's an exaggeration. Of course, sir, finely ground, a dark roast from Colombia, I believe. Rory makes a mighty effort and grasps one of the mugs of coffee, drinking deeply. After a deep draught, Rory tucks into the food with a will, while you place your various things knocked off shelves since your last tidying. That's the stuff, Rory says at last with a contented sigh. Rory suddenly makes a sour face and claps his hand to his forehead. Is today Thursday? I had completely forgotten. Aunt Primrose is coming to dinner tonight. She rang up the other day and I said, very well, we'll have to work swiftly, Poppins. I'm not gonna swear, guys. I'm just not gonna swear, so just chill. He leaps up, and you whip the tray away that its contents don't spill. Roy rushes to the vast wardrobe and begins to pull clothes out of it haphazardly. As you well know, Poppins, thanks to the proviso in my father's will, my Aunt Primrose holds a control over all my money whilst I remain unmarried. Now, this is not usually a problem, as Aunt Primrose sends off my monthly checks as steady as can be, but this month I seem to have dug myself into a bit of a trench, debt-wise. How so, sir? It's a funny thing, actually. I was absolutely certain of this one particular horse in the third race. They called him Surefire. Can they do that? Isn't that false advertising? At any rate, I spent the whole monthly check on Surefire, and it was not to be, and and it was not to be. And now the bill collectors are coming around and demanding that I render the unto Caesar what is Caesar's, as the fellow says. We may have some small risk of having thuggish debt collectors arrive with lead pipes. If it helps in any way, I would be willing to work for free this month, sir. If any debt collectors show up, I'll see them out. Never you fear about that, sir. Ah, I understand the importance of Aunt Primrose's presence. Most distressing, sure, sir, to be sure. Let's shoo those pesky debtors off. No one even bets on horse races. Like, no one does that. I have no doubt that you will protect my person, says Rory, gently smiling at you, but the issue at hand is deeper than wider. No, Poppins, we need money, and lots of it, quickly. I see you say, considering carefully, if I might make a suggestion, your aunt might be more inclined to be generous with her funds. We're to offer her an exquisite dinner. She's known to appreciate a hearty meal. Says Rory, mulling this over, getting her in a right jolly mood with refreshments, and then touch her for the money to the extent possible. I think we should be able to handle that now. Let's see about some clothes. Roy considers and rejects a number of articles of clothing one by one. Poppins, where on earth is my lavender plus fours with the checks? I want to wear my spats with it. You take a moment to consider your answer. I took the liberty of discarding that outfit with yesterday's rubbish shirt. May I suggest an outfit less sudden in its effect? I say calmly. Yawn. Okay. Yes, notes carefully, sir. I just woke up. It's like 5:17 a.m. Yes, not carefully, sir. If it's not, of course, mixed in with the outfits for fancy dress balls. Permit me. An unstylish choice, I'm afraid, sir. But would you permit me to offer a more moodish selection? Oof, I think I'm gonna go with this one. An alternate, possibly. Might I suggest that the waist seam coat and white flannel trousers, they would offer you both comfort and elegance, without the garnish look so unfortunately common these days. Garish? You know nothing what you speak, Poppins. It just so happens that I receive compliments on a regular basis on my style and overall impression. No, it will not do. Have a near sense of fashion than I. You are clever, certainly, but it comes to well-dressed gentlemen, I think I have sense of what is needed. The lavender plus flowers with its checks it shall be, and my shouting jacket with the patches on elbows. Oh, I don't think so, you say. Rory pays you no need, beholding him in that ridiculous outfit, turning back and forth in the front of the mirror, making approving notes, fills you with the horror of and existential despair, and you turn away to nurse your psychic wounds. What's the difference? They're both boring. And I'm failing both of them. Okay. Finally dressed, as such as it is, Rory strolls into the living room and slumps onto the easy chair, plucking up a book from the end table. We have plans to make Poppins. We've plans to make Poppins. Dinner must be cooked, and I must finish that god-awful book. You carefully avert your eyes from Roy's clothing, but it's difficult and it pains you. This is great. Rory holds the book up, releasing the hidden potential of your hitherto unawakened Mind in 12 Easy Steps by Professor Clarence Q. Hickory. It's my opinion that this Professor Hickory is first order. Listen to this excerpt. There are several primal mechanisms by which emotional energies that lie dormant, perhaps suppressed by the desire to cleave to social norms, may be brought forward and thus integrated into one's personality. However, in order for psychoanalytic interventions to be effective, the patient must regress through a series of archetypical stages to shed or replay 4 psychodramatic stages to recipulate one's phylogeny via antagony, as Ernst Haeckel has demonstrated. Roy looks up. Why Aunt Primrose felt I needed to read this drivel is beyond me. It seems to be in no particular order whatsoever, just a series of words helter-skelter across the page. She's certain to quiz me on it, and I need to have some semblance of an answer. Doesn't mean a thing to you at all. Volunteer read the book myself and give Roy the highlights. Aid Roy in bluffing his way through discussion of the book. Encourage Roy by saying that the book is surely within the capacity to read and understand. Aid Roy in bluffing his way through the discussion of the book. That's gotta help. That is a troubling situation, sir. However, it is my experience that casual conversation rarely requires a full reading of a book. No. One must only have perhaps 2 statements that can be used to responding to any given query. How can it be I've never heard of such a thing? Quickly now, teach me these statements. I await with bated breath. I'm actually excited for these statements myself, because, trust me, we do this thing called open circles. I need this. It seems somehow insufficient, Roy says. What if she presses the point? Wait. Oh, when faced with a query, simply say, "Ah, yes," and then tap your chin thoughtfully, as if pondering. That will buy you time, and very probably the questionnaire will see your response as thoughtful and wise. That's good. It seems somehow insufficient, Roy says. What if she presses the point? In that case, you respond by simply crossing your arms and replying, "So they say, but I remain skeptical that will leave her nonplussed, and she will drop the line of questioning. I trust you, Poppins. I shall jot these phrases and gestures down to ensure I don't forget them. Thank you, sir. Now I should prepare for dinner." Ooh. Yes, we get a choice this time. Trying on your apron, you step into the kitchen and begin to consider your options for dinner. You make a quick calculations, taking into account the ingredients at your disposal and the time you have remaining before the arrival of the notoriously punctual Aunt Primrose. You see it. You have 3 options. Aunt Primrose's favorite dish is a veal ragout with truffles and apricot compote. But she is finicky about it, and it's not a simple dish. You could also make a roast beef au jus with haricot verts, which is certainly simpler, although less impressive. Finally, in a pinch, you can make these cheese omelets and shave the truffles onto it. Aunt Primrose would be unimpressed, but at least it's quickly cooked and difficult to make badly. Okay, Aunt Primrose. Yeah, let's go with the beef. The roast beef is clearly the best choice. What it isn't Aunt Primrose's favorite, it is a significantly less fussy meal to cook, and as you know all too well, a poorly cooked meal would be certain to put Aunt Primrose in a truly grouchy mood. It would be wiser to cook a simpler, more dependable meal. You would begin to gather the ingredients for the roast beef. Wait a moment, what about dessert? Chocolate mousse would go well, and it's fairly easy to whip up. A poached pear tart with homemade raspberry streaked cream fresh. Let's skip dessert. Oof. I'm gonna go with the chocolate mousse because it sort of matches the mood of the steak, and it's like, I don't know, it just seems to go well with dinner. The dark chocolate mouse will surely create a satisfying conclusion to dinner. Surely Aunt Primrose can't complain about mouse. You square your shoulders, take a deep breath, and begin to cook dinner as Royce paces back and forth in the living room, gnawing on a fingernail and looking out the window intensely. You picked up the knife and what would you say is your general approach to cooking? Playful and improvisational, careful attention to popular recipes, ensuring comfortable familiarity, irritated and splatlash, filled with shortcuts and workarounds. I think, tough. I think playful improvisational stuff usually works for me, and you get like nice textures. I'm overall satisfied when I do that kind of stuff. You pick up the knife, flip it thrice in the air, chop some herbs roughly, and then begin to throw handfuls of them into a pan. Oh jeez, I almost choked there. Oh, nothing. Okay, I'm good. You cook on instinct, as is your wont, and the pain sings and sizzles as you work. You cook solely from your intuition, and your efforts are original. Certainly you can say that much for your efforts. The quality, on the other hand, Black smoke completely fills the kitchen. You understand that in South America there is a cuisine called cajun in which food is often served blackened. This will have to be the style of the roast beef you'll be serving tonight. Perhaps Aunt Primrose will be intrigued. Man, I guess I'm pretty intelligent to know that, honestly. Ah, Rory says, peeking into the kitchen, then coughing several times. The food I fear received a touch more heat than is typically, you say. I can see that. Yes, Rory says. Is it salvageable? You show Rory the roast beef such as it is. Oh, well, Rory says, Aunt Primrose enjoys fish. Is it okra? Okra? Well, whichever, it doesn't look too bad. And is that the dessert? Is that dessert I see there? Rory says, forcing a note of positivity into his voice. Prepared in your inimitable style as well, I see. Yes, you say. I suppose it is. What I want to see right now, some achievements. Oh, show stats. Ah, these are good. Okay, return to the game. You pick up the. Oh, wait, we already did that. 40 minutes later, an imperious ring of the doorbell announces the arrival of Aunt Primrose, or she is more correctly addressed Mrs. Primrose Patterson, nee Wintermint, the sister of Rory's father. Rory leaps up as you open the door for Aunt Primrose. She strides into the middle of the room in a rather smart-looking long dark green jacket, with brass buttons and dark green skirt, and a broad hat with flowers on it. Aunt Primrose is a tall woman, who gives an impression of taking up thrice as much space as rightly ought to. I feel like that's like the stereotypical way to describe an aunt. Yeah, I would say so. Hello, Rory, she barks cheerfully, handing you her parasol and hat. Good day, Poppins. Good day, Poppins. You're looking well. Better than Rory at any rate, whom I see you managed to get out of bed for night. Well done. That's such a bad voice. I wish I could make up some new voices. I'm gonna make up a new voice for her. She considers Roy carefully with sort of look usually reserved for a beetle one finds in one's salad. You look absurd, she says with finality. I can only assume that every other article of clothing is being laundered. Is that what you call getting dressed these days? This is what well-dressed man about town is wearing, dear aunt, Roy says casually, flicking a bit of imaginary lint from his sleeve. And you find this acceptable? She says, looking at you. Well, time have changed indeed. She snorts and eases herself into the chair. So she's already pouty, and I told him not to wear that stuff, didn't I? I told him not to wear it. You're looking very well, Aunt Primrose, Rory says. And what is this? She says, ignoring him. What sort of trash are you filling your mind with? She leans down and plucks down a slender garish illustrated novel from off a shelf. It is very well regarded a piece of literature, perhaps the best-selling series that there is right now, Rory says. Although, almost choked again. I'm gonna kill myself by the end of this thing if I keep on choking on nothing. Although she knew better by Miss Fifi Buttercup, the 6th volume in the How Wicked Was the Earl series, reads Aunt Primrose holding her lorgnette to her eyes, shockingly bodice, ripping. Poppins, what do you think of Roy's taste in literature? Actually, madam, the novel is mine, not Mr. Wintermint's. I find the work of Fifi Buttercup most illuminating. Deplorable, madam, I prefer not to say madam. Deplorable. No. Ooh, yeah, we've given him stuff to make him wise, so I would say deplorable. Deplorable is a good word for it. Aunt Primrose agrees. It is a low-quality piece of writing designed for low-quality minds. Yes, it is wildly successful series of novels. I do not disagree there, but it is tawdry and is not for the disconcerting mind. It is a good thing, though. It is a good thing that you have Poppins here as a model for literary taste and decorum. Ooh, what did I just say? I really forget. Did I say everything right? Pretty sure. As a matter of fact, Rory says, giving you the dirty look. Oh, I said the wrong thing, didn't I? I said the wrong thing. Oof. As a matter of fact, Ray says, giving you a dodo look, I was just examining this novel in order to write a pretty vicious review of it for the local literary magazine. No, Aunt Primrose, my taste in literature is what you would call highbrow. Speaking of books, and Aunt Primrose says, where's that book I loaned you? What did you think of it? Did it stimulate that so-called brain of yours? Roy steepless in his hand and assumes a thoughtful expression. Ah, I believe you are referring to Releasing the Hidden Potential of Your Hitherto Unawakened Mind in 12 Easy Steps by Professor Clarence Q. Hickory, are you not? I have it here. I have it for you just here. He hands her the book with a flourish. Wonderful book, excellent binding. Yes, I know bloody well what book I loaned you, snaps Aunt Primrose, rubbing her fingers on the table. Let me make it quick. Let me make it quite plain. I asked you to read this tome because, although you have little to no intellectual merits, you have in the past demonstrated certain honesty in your evaluations. However, interculately expressed, this Professor Hickory approached me several weeks ago, bearing a copy of this book of his, and wanted to know if he could address the Ladies' Intellectual Society, of which you know I am chairwoman. But I wanted another opinion, and you, poor sap, were the only person I could think of to ask at a moment's notice. And it was my pleasure to offer my assistance, says Rory. Did you read it? Okay guys, I think I'm gonna end, Tally-Ho here on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Oh my gosh. I'm usually not one to read, but I think this really put like pictures into my head, and my reading isn't that great for people to understand. Although this is a great game, and I hope to continue it next time, right here. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.